Does it ever seem like the more often you play a show in your hometown, the fewer people show up? It would seem to make sense that if you play more shows, more people will have a chance to see you and more people will show up, right? Wrong. Hey everyone, my name is James and this is the Better Band Bureau. A lot of times, bands assume that more shows will equal more fans. That's not the case. It's usually a good thing to play shows outside of your home base of operations in front of new audiences. But if you play in your hometown every month or two, or even more than that, you're oversaturating the market in your hometown, which means a few things will happen. People will start to think that they can see you anytime, and then they'll always say, "Oh, I'll see you at the next show." And that's not something you want. You want your shows to be seen as an event that people will attend, rather than something where people say, "Oh, I can catch you again next month, no big deal, I'll just come then." Because if you're doing that, you're actually hurting yourself because you're playing more shows to fewer people. Ideally, you would play fewer shows to more people. Something else that happens is that if you play the same market over and over again, audiences will start to get bored of your set unless you're constantly putting out new material. But chances are, a good portion of your set will remain the same from show to show for a year or two before you put out new music to replace practically all of the old songs that people are sick of hearing because you've played the same town every month for the last 3 years. Essentially, what you're doing by playing your hometown so often is creating more supply than demand, which in very basic economic terms is not something you want to do, because that means that this is how many people want to see you, and this is how many shows you're playing. You want to play just enough shows so everyone can see you if they want to, but you're not playing so often that they get tired of it or lose interest. So how can you prevent this? I would say don't play your hometown any more than 2 to 3 times per year. Once every 6 months is okay. If you want to push it to every 4 months, do a special holiday show or something, you could probably get away with that. But if you're playing your hometown more frequently than that, you're going to start to run into issues. What I would suggest, instead of playing your hometown over and over again, is do a quick weekend tour at minimum every 2 to 3 months. This way, you can still keep up with playing shows, but you're getting yourself into new markets, or into markets where you haven't been in a while. For example, if you're a band in the Northeast, the New York, New Jersey area, you could do a weekend tour every 4 months and not play the same city twice, just by going to the Northeast, playing Hartford, Connecticut, Providence, Rhode Island, and Boston, Massachusetts. And then another tour, you go to the Northwest, with Scranton, Pennsylvania, Albany, New York, and Rochester, New York. Last but not least, you go to the South and hit up Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore, Maryland. Now that's 9 shows you've played, and not a single one of them is in your hometown. And obviously you can still play a show in your hometown a few times a year, and I encourage that because that's where people will want to see you the most. Unless you've done something wrong, that should be where your fan base is the strongest. But you don't want to play so often that that fan base just doesn't care anymore. You also want to make sure that you can grow these other markets and build relationships in those markets so you start to have a fan base there and eventually grow that more and more to cities across the country so that you can do full cross-country tours when you're ready. Now, if you're not in a very densely populated area like the Northeast, it's not quite as easy to find cities within all directions that are just a few hours away, but it can still be done. For example, if you live in Texas, which has really long drives between cities, you could still, if you're based in, for example, Austin, hit up Dallas and San Antonio on separate weekends, and then find the smaller tertiary markets along the way. Those markets typically don't have bands coming through, so they're always happy if they can get someone on the way through. It probably won't be your biggest show ever, but it's worth nurturing those small underdeveloped markets because you might actually find some success there in those markets that other bands ignore. The main takeaway here is just to stop playing too many shows in your hometown. Just stop completely. Don't do that. 2 to 3 shows max per year in your hometown, or in any city in general, but specifically your hometown, because this is where I see bands go wrong most of the time. Get some variation into where you're playing, and make sure that you don't oversaturate any of the markets you play. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I really hope you appreciated this video and learned something new. If you have any questions, just leave a comment, and please, if you enjoyed this, like, share, and subscribe so other people can see it as well, because I want this knowledge to help as many people as possible. Thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday.